Hello and welcome back to the SWAN Pricing Show. My name is Filip Vucic. I'm a pricing mentor.
Welcome, and I'm Philip Zolota, business mentor.
Today, we want to talk about one of the client's favorite things to ask after can it be cheaper, which is can it be faster? And four misconceptions that have their root in the duck world, in the world where everything is commoditized and all the services are the same, it doesn't matter who does them. So it works there that if you add more people, or simply said more resources, in some cases money, or some materials, that you can get the result at double the speed. So if you have one gun that fires at the rate and you add another firing at the same rate, you will shoot the double amount of bullets. That is easy,
Mhm.
right? If you have people painting a huge flat wall, if you have two of them working at the same time, you will get approximately it done in double the speed. Um, and there's four reasons, four constraints, why it doesn't work in the SWAN world, why it doesn't work in many cases when it comes to expertise based work in general, right? So I'm going to talk about all four. We're going to talk about examples simply because we want to give you ammunition to explain to a client
Mhm.
why the water is wet. Um, it is not easy to see that on the onset. It's not easy to explain because just like, if somebody never tried doing much with math, it's very hard to explain why you cannot use circles to cover a square and vice versa, right? It is very, very hard. It is something that people have been trying for centuries, and it's still not solved. And to like somebody like my kid who doesn't really know much about geometry, he knows what a square is and what a circle is. Why not? It should be possible. Well, it's not, right? So um this all comes from this age-old joke that in the IT people expect that if you have three pregnant women, you can have the baby in 3 months, right? Um, it just doesn't work that way. For this example, this is something that we will call in this show a natural, um, sorry, sequential constraint. That's the first one. So because some steps can't be skipped. And that means whether you're baking a loaf of bread or you're making an analysis. Um, so you're making some kind of a device, and first
Mhm.
you have to do analysis, and then you have to figure out the steps, do them, and then go back and see if that makes sense. And you can't, revise the results before the analysis. It doesn't help that there's two people there. Um, you can include two people and maybe the result will be better, so maybe the quality will be better, but it won't be any faster because there's some steps simply cannot be skipped and cannot be done at the same time.
Yeah.
It's much easier when you're painting a wall because it doesn't really matter from which side you start and blah blah blah. Here it matters. And yeah. Um so so uh any rushing will severely sacrifice value.
Yeah.
Right? And as professionals, we should probably say that to a client. So you're not gonna get what you think you're gonna get, right? Um, right. The second one, and I know you have a good example for the second one is the natural saturation constraint. Um, because for some things beyond the point, extra effort is simply wasteful. So like a plant is going to grow at a certain pace, even if three people are adding water to it, it may again it can improve quality but not
Yeah.
speed, right? Um, or I don't know, if you want to grow a beard or something like that.
Hmm.
No matter what you do, you cannot do much, right? What was your business example? I lost in the
Yeah,
pre-show.
yeah, yeah. One business example, which can be definitely pretty much close in terms of expertise-based business overall, is, for example, paid performance campaigns. You can get so much in terms of results pouring into something, the campaign, specific amount of money, and you cannot simply exceed that with adding more and more and more and more. You need to optimize. You need to set up a solid rock foundation, which is meaningful stuff. Opposite of that is just pouring into crazy amount of money, putting it additionally, but you won't be getting better results. And that is good example because this is something, considering the expectation part of the story, people are, I know from my experience, people were asking us sometimes, okay, but if we put this amount of money, what we can expect? Can we expect the double or triple or quadruple results? No, because there are so many parameters contributing to
Yeah.
entire outline. It's your brand visibility, authority, brand equity, and all the other key elements of the story. So just pushing more and more and pouring into more money into the campaign simply doesn't cut it. And yeah, that is one maybe very simple expertise-based business example.
So yes, and you won't get the results any sooner.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
Exactly.
also important. So I know this from like making business plans and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're validating a market, if you're trying to see if people will buy it, then we need like 6 weeks for that. Can we do it in three? No, no, because those three could be different than the rest of the year for some reason, and we don't have enough data points to actually make any conclusions before that. And
Yeah.
no amount of resources will change that. This
Yeah.
needs to uh, um, if you want the certainty of a decision that I usually provide, it has to be 6 weeks, and that's it. It doesn't matter the resources that we yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And just one thing which I wanted to add there is we both have experience, and a bunch of people, especially in business around us, is that whatever you're experiencing today in terms of business, the size, the scaling, the growth, whatever, is not something what you did today. It's previous work. You
Yeah.
are now experiencing the result of the previous work, and people are often forgetting about that that element in the story. Yeah,
The legacy effort that we
legacy
talked
effort.
about in the last
Exactly,
show, right?
exactly, exactly.
Right. So the third one is throughput constraints. So
Hmm.
if we're going on a trip and we need to be there as soon as possible, can we be there twice as fast if we include another car? No. We can take twice as many people there, but if the trip is 6 hours, it's still going to be 6 hours. Uh, just like adding another washing machine won't get your laundry done in half the time, right? It simply there's a certain limit to the throughput of the
Yeah,
system, and there's nothing that we can do about this, right? Um, and finally, and I know you had one for this as well, it's the coordination constraints.
yeah.
So adding people sometimes means even more work because now, if I'm doing it by myself, I don't have to, have a daily meeting with myself to know that there's no work being done at unnecessarily redundant work at the same time. that all of the ideas are spread, all of the latest information is known by everybody. So as soon as you add another human being in there, you usually need another human being to coordinate that.
Yeah.
And you can always try without it if you think people can read minds, but on the next project you will know better.
Yeah, and it is always like that.
Uh,
On the next one, you're definitely smarter.
yeah, yeah. This happened. True story, as they say. I think you had an example here as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very common story in the development with the marketing agency and similar. For example, the company is onboarding a new client or new clients, no matter, and they become pretty much optimistical in terms of additional and required resources to work on those projects. So they are starting with the overemployment or whatever, and quite often it's happening that people are mixing the specialties and respectable fields of every individual expert who is working on the project. And with lack of communication, as you said, with good system and optimization of entire process, people at the end finish not knowing what they actually need to do. And they are overlapping with the colleagues. So, and budget wise, it can be pretty much critical. You're exceeding the budget you have more people, and the results aren't there. You're not being more efficient, better, faster. As you said, you just complicated the entire process and postponed the finalization of the project. So that is also a very common thing. Okay, you can have optimized process and a business system, onboarding new people. Everything can be by the book, but still more people, more time required for the management. That is pure logic in the end.
Yes, so we can say that uh, coordination complexity increases disproportionately as the team grows,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And with the number of people and raising complexity, you get extra costs. So even if you get better results, they better be much better because now they have to carry. It's like when you're trying to engineer a spacecraft, right?
Yeah,
Every kilo that you add to a spacecraft needs more fuel, which also adds its own weight. So every kilo is really, really, really important, right?
yeah, great
So if
example.
you're adding complexity, I mean, how this usually shows up is a series of decision-making delays, and I think you're very familiar with that in your line of work, right? Um, so the usual bottleneck of client not really making the decision and procrastinating the decision because they're not really sure what to say, and it needs to be said and they're not ready for this. That is absolutely a consequence of the coordination constraint, right? So you might be familiar with the idea of, oh, could you give me a discount, and then I'll have somebody from the inside of the organization to help you. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
So I'm friends with a roofer guy. He fixes
Mhm.
roofs. And he told me that a lawyer asked for a discount because he can help me with the work on the roof. Right, right. Uh, so that is also the reason why it doesn't help, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't help. So I think all four are what you would call um, counterintuitive, right? Because it sounds intuitive. If I
yeah.
put more energy into something, if I put more money into something, then I can get it faster. And it's not that easy. It's not that simple. As many other things that we talked about in this show, it's simply not that easy. That as the Americans say, that's not what how anything works. Just it isn't, right? Um, I've seen so many times when clients get frustrated because they were
Mhm.
kind of counting, banking on things being
Yeah,
simple.
yeah,
And what's important here is to remember, and I think we had a show about this, is that you never surprise them, right?
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Uh, uh, One of the core tenets of business in general is never surprise people, not even pleasantly. That no, especially not unpleasantly. So you have to say and write things down and send them promemorias and to have a track um, to have an easily trackable sequence of you saying this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, or it won't happen. So we cannot rush this, right? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I just remembered a good example of translators,
Mm-hmm.
right? You add another translator to the same translation. Not a good idea
Yeah,
in most cases,
yeah, yeah,
because the consistency checking and the all of the ways in which this can now show up full of seams where you see one starting and the other one ending. I mean, I co-wrote a book with another author. We had to really watch out not to step on each other's toes. And
yeah,
that was easy. That was easy. That was not rushed. That was under no stress. Um, it's, I mean, the people will, especially when you have, when you put the two experts in a room, you have three opinions at least, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so,
It's a fact.
so yes, three to five, depending on the mood and the amount of pizza. So, um, uh, you have people disagreeing on on how something should be translated or
Yeah,
something should be done, or the priorities of stuff, right? And then that all of the discussions between the people on which needs to be done first, it simply has so many more levels than who is going to paint from what corner,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It is this is why we talk about the duck world versus the swan world, because in the duck world there's a lot of things that are complicated, but it's usually not that complex. The difference being a clock is complicated, but you can put it in a temperature and moisture control safe and put and get it out of after 200 years, and it will still work. You cannot do that with a living being. You cannot do that with to an orchid, right? Because it grows and it needs to develop and all of those things. And humans are much more complicated than your regular orchids. And also, companies are bunches of humans. So
yeah,
complications happen in all directions, in all dimensions simultaneously, right? Anyway, do you know some, let's say, very clear results, bad results, that happened because the client couldn't understand one of these?
yeah, absolutely. It's an unfortunately common thing happening in business. Postponed projects, even failed projects. Also, one cool example you mentioned about having two, meaning 3 to 5 experts in the room, considering and having a discussion about technical platforms. And when they choose bad one, and then they get to the stage of 18 months of development, and then they decide and understand, yeah, it's a big failure. Get back to the point zero, start again, crazy amount of additional investments, etc., etc. So many real life examples, which definitely could be prevented with adequate plan, with adequate strategy, two-way proactive communication opposite of reactive one, and yeah, that's it.
I think the relevant expression is designed by committee, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows the worst money sinks and time sinks are stuff which is designed by committee, right? And this is one of the reasons. This is mostly about coordination constraints, but all of it, basically, right? All of it.
Yeah.
You have a lot of important people whose time is expensive, endlessly arguing about their egos.
Yeah.
Uh, and the result is usually uh, a mix of a mix of a mix, right? The thing
Mhm.
they say in Croatia, čodbina, čodbe, čorba. A stew of a stew of a stew, right? And that can be clearly seen. Okay, so to wrap it all up, I would say this is a significant departure of the swan world from the duck world,
Yeah.
because you have sequential constraints. Some steps can be skipped. You have natural saturation constraints because beyond the point, or beyond some point, extra effort is meaningless,
Yeah.
right? Throughput constraints because increased volume doesn't mean that it's faster. It's the
Yeah.
two cars trying to get in half the time, right?
Yeah.
And then you have coordination constraints because two experts, three opinions, right? And usually, when a client wants something to be faster, you can use at least one of them to explain why they are asking for water that's not wet.
Yeah.
Right. Philip, where can people find you?
People can find me on LinkedIn and also on my mentorship page, philipzalata.com.
I'm recently more active on LinkedIn as well. My page is fearless-pricing.com, where I'm happy to say that the Astra AI is making rounds, and I'm getting really great commentary of people using it. So you are all encouraged to try it. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.
See you. Take care. Bye.